Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Natural20, and I am joined today on this Fire Emblem Three Houses Crimson Flower Maddening LP by the one, the only Alksprit, who's returning to the commentary booth.
Nothing if not consistent.
You are the most regular installment on this LP, and I think the people will be glad for it.
Yeah, you think so? That's good.
I would definitely hope so, and I definitely believe so as well. Now, we are today going to be dealing with Chapter 6, I believe, which is the Tower of Fun, as I call it.
Everybody's favorite, what do you call that, Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah, pretty much. So without further ado, let's get to the video and get talking about exactly what's going on in this chapter. Because it's a bit of a doozy as things go, and I'll show you why as we go along.
Alright.
Professor, I heard about our mission for this month. A thief with a hero's relic is worrisome, but with you at our side, I'm certain we can handle him. After all,
So happens we have a relic of our own.
It was alleged
exactly.
by Nemesis, the King of Liberation. If the legends are true, you hold the power to
This is really interesting. So it doesn't play out in the game, but apparently these relics and crests are so powerful that you could hold out an entire army with them.
Hmm.
I'm just marveling at the potential.
And I don't think the game does a great job outside of this particular phrasing to suggest that that's the case.
Professor, when we leave the monastery, will you still think of yourself as my teacher?
I have to, otherwise the voice acting won't work.
Exactly.
Never mind. I'm being thoughtless with my words. For now, let's just focus on the problem at hand.
So people will have seen this in Silver Snow, but it's still like a lot of this, to be honest.
Yes, it was
And I've kept all the Edelgard supports in, and I intend to keep them all in for this, because I think it's very informative for Crimson Flower.
It's terribly frustrating.
I don't think I've seen any of this.
They're just worthless dreams of the past. Talking about it won't change a thing. I had a feeling you'd say that. I suppose I could try, but only if you swear not to tell a soul. I appreciate it. I dream of my older brother, paralyzed, helpless. My older sister crying for help that never came. The youngest babbling words beyond meaning. I see my family dying slowly, waiting in the darkest depths for a glimmer of light. I once had 10 siblings, 8 older and 2 younger. Such a large family, and yet I became the heir to the throne. Do you know why? Every last one of them was crippled by disease, or lost their mind, or died. I was the only one left who could inherit the throne.
Interesting enough.
Getting worse.
Yeah.
The darkness kept getting darker. In the end, I was the only one who survived. The nightmares are a reminder to never forget, to never allow such terrible things to happen again.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't your fault.
Even now, I'm the only one who can carry the weight of the Adrestian Empire. The future of the Empire, of everything, depends on me. I shared more than I intended to. I suppose there's something in the air tonight. I've never told anyone about my past before. Please, forget I said anything. Sleep well, my teacher.
Yeah, so this is like pretty informative of the way Edelgard sees the world. And I don't think it ever comes across in any route apart from this one. Which is a bit of a shame, really. Because I think it's very, very helpful to understand, like, why she's so vehement about the things that she's vehement about.
So much.
Now, in this month, you get access to the saint statues. And everyone should know, I think, by this point, actually, not everyone, but these are an upgrade system that you get, that you can spend your renown on. Now, if you've got the DLC, you'll have about 10,000 renown or so from that, and a bunch from the quests that you otherwise get. So the big thing that I've done here is I've got Divine Pulse +1 from every statue. It's the most valuable thing that you can get by miles.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd say it's pretty much near mandatory to get these for maddening as quickly as you can. If you want to do it without the DLC, it'll be a little bit harder because you'll have less renown to work with, but it can still be done. So the other thing is that this chapter is relatively unique, because this is the chapter where you unlock the merchants in the monastery with the quest I just picked up. So they'll show up here once you've unlocked them. But what that means is, this quest, sorry, clearing the way. So what that means is that unlike every other month where you want to go to battle on the final weekend of your month, in this month, you want to do it on the second weekend, because that gives you time to come back on the third weekend and access all the merchants, which gets you more gifts that you can give all your students.
Oh yeah, of course.
And also more fishing bait.
You know, Professor, I never hear any gossip about you. Of a romantic nature, I mean. Would I
Because I'm a monster.
Experienced with romance? Maybe we should...
I kept this one in because of what's about to come up.
Professor? What's with you? Why aren't you reacting to anything I'm doing?
Because I'm your teacher.
I already told you.
Come on. Is your heart even beating? You're making me lose my confidence.
And I love this response. It's so good.
Don't be so silly. Huh? It really isn't beating? Is what I'd say if I were more gullible. You're just fooling around, Professor. I'm not sure how you did it, but that was a good one.
Yes, Dorothea, I stopped my heart beating for a joke.
It was a good joke.
Great joke. Yes, so this is me recruiting Lysithea, so she is the person that I want to recruit first. But it turns out that she doesn't like me enough, so what I did is I'd save my progress before I talked to her, and then I gave her enough gifts that eventually she caved and decided that she wanted to join my class.
Hooray!
I actually enjoy being in your class quite a lot.
So I think Lysithea, at least for the Black Eagles, is easily the best early recruit that you can get by a long way. He's very strong.
Yeah, I mean, what could you do better?
I mean, so Constance is basically an equivalent of Lysithea, but they both have their own
You don't
niches as well.
You don't need any effort to get Constance, though, is the
exactly.
thing.
While I have little interest in...
So I kept this in because what happens is at the end of this weekend, I have exactly 260 experience needed to get another professor level. And if you ever get into that situation where you've got just a little bit extra, then a good idea is to top it up by going fishing. Now, usually, you want to save all your bait for days where you get multi-fish, because that gets you more experience overall, but it's a good idea often, if you're at a breakpoint, to fish a little bit, meet that breakpoint, because even though you're disadvantaging yourself a little bit later, the advantage you get early from doing that is much, much more important.
Yes.
And here we go. This is the Tower of Fun. I consider this to be probably the hardest story chapter on Maddening. I think it's a big step up from what you've been doing basically elsewhere. There's a lot of tricks that it can throw at you, and it's the only map where I legitimately wiped the first time I did this on Maddening.
Let's get to it.
That's quite a map then.
Yeah, it's a piece of work. So this is the first map where you get a lot of same turn reinforcements showing up. And Maddening will do this more and more as time goes on, but you'll be better prepped for it when it happens. right now, you're still fairly early in the game, so you just don't have as many tools as you would like to be able to deal with this map. And we'll see kind of in the next episode, when I get more tools, exactly how well I deal with the map once that's the case. So, what will happen here is, on turn 2, a bunch of same-turn reinforcements will show up from the side that you just came from. Now, what I want them to do is kill Gilbert.
I was about to say, like, count down to Gilbert dying, because it's obviously going to happen whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. So there's no disadvantage in Gilbert dying, and if he stays alive, what happens is he runs forward and suicides into the enemies above you and pulls them, which is bad.
Yeah.
Because there's a specific trick I'm going to use that kind of means that I want the enemies to stay exactly where they are.
Yeah, you want to be able to take things at your own pace, obviously.
Yeah, without the AI forcing you into a certain thing. So, by the way, this is the second round of same-turn reinforcements that show up from the same area. So they show up on turn 4, I believe. And obviously they make things a little bit awkward because you've got to go and take them down as well. But, you know, once they've shown up, if you know they're coming, then it's fairly easy just to hold back and then wait for them to come along. Now, this is my kind of trick for the map. Because some of the archers are 3 range, you can...
All of them?
All of them, yeah. So they're all 3 range with Poison Strike. You can sit Dorothea here, or anyone with 3 range. So Hubert and Dorothea for the moment have 3 range. And what they'll do is they'll attract the archers to the edge here. And Hubert gets, like, not a bad level, actually. He's got magic, which is the important thing for him. But what you'll see here is the units here start moving because I've aggroed these archers. And so...
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that happen before. I've definitely... I don't think I had any 3 range when I played this map my first time, but I did, like, sit them on that edge and then go after them with 2 range units after they moved. That's how I dealt with them, but it's probably a little harder to do in this case.
Yes, they're more painful in this case, and, like, if you've got 3 range, there's no reason not to use them, unless they're Dorothea and they just can't hit the broadside of a barn door on a 78% chance. It's fine, we have Constance. She's hit magic growths basically every time apart from now.
It's so getting a little OP.
Yeah, so she's hitting like a truck at the moment, is Constance. I busy ponder, I spent some time pondering how to deal with this guy. But Edelgard has hit strength growths about as many times as Constance has hit her magic growth, so everything seems fine. Well, 78's the best I'm going to get, but Lysithea has the clutch, so it's fine.
Nice.
Yeah, so I polish off my turn here. Set some stuff up. But what you're going to see here now is as these guys run around, they aggro... Well, they haven't done it yet, but soon. Soon you'll see what happens. As I end turn again. As they run around, they aggro their mates. So everyone's going to start moving.
No.
You think that that's a problem, but this is my strategy for this. And I'll show you why it pays off in a second.
Is there like a choke point that you can take advantage of?
Also, if you look back here, there are 2 choke points. There's a 3-range choke point with a 1-range choke point to its right-hand side. And then further back, there's another 3-wide choke point. But if you remember from when we looked at the random battle, if enemies walk towards you in this game, because they target certain units, they tend to just walk in a line. And so what you're going to see here is a huge line of enemies. And, you know, you've got combat arts that are line AoEs.
Yeah.
So we're just going to position and get ready. Yuri's going to stand there and take that attack. And everyone's just going to run forward in a massive line towards our team. And I'm busy prepping here as much as I can so that the aim is to have as many overlapping attack zones on Yuri, so that he's very, very accurate when this guy attacks him. Of course, I forget that Yuri has a steel sword equipped and not his iron sword. Yep. This is why, again, I don't play old Fire Emblem games.
It's okay. You can just use save states. Nobody would care.
I would care.
It's the same thing.
So I rewind and yes. Yuri now has his iron sword equipped and doesn't die. But you can see here what's happened is also because of the varying movement rates on a bunch of dudes. There's a pocket of 5 units here that are just separate from the rest and can be picked off. Or 6 units, actually. But because we've got quite a lot of strength on player phase, it's very, very easy for us to take these guys down.
Don't forget who you're dealing.
Because, yeah, specifically battalions, specifically gambits themselves, are all just very, very powerful. So Constance has something here that's going to hit for 34 damage on this Armor Knight and cripple his movement. And the movement of 2 guys around him as well.
Little splash damage for good measure.
Yep, exactly. And then it's just a matter of like slowly picking things apart as I can. I'm confident that I've got the attack to be able to do this. It's just a matter of figuring out where the puzzle pieces go, all that kind of stuff.
It's time. You fought well.
Shame the splash can't actually kill you as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem, but it's also possibly the mechanic that means that Poison Strike doesn't kill you.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that would be very, very, very painful if that was the case. So yeah, like, a lot of this is me experimenting with ranges here. So I won't show this that often, but I think it's quite important to show this for what I've done here.
Make them tremble.
This is what you kind of want to do. You want to take all of your pieces, see where an optimal combination shows up, and then use it to your advantage.
Yay, Petra.
Yay! So you can see, by the way, that I've got Leonie as a unit here. I'm trying to get my support up with her as well.
Right, I never did that when I played. I never got someone temporarily to help me.
So because obviously that I'm not using all of the Black Eagles, I have spaces on my roster to be able to do that. Since I'm not using Petra, I'm not using Bernadette, I'm using Lindhart to a relatively limited degree. I have this space.
Yeah. I suppose that makes sense.
This is what I do.
And I don't think that's typical of most Maddening runs. I wouldn't... Unless you've got a good reason to want a lot of recruits like I do, I wouldn't recommend it for most Maddening runs to run that way.
This guy's got 1, so...
Dorothea just shoots him, she's like, fine. And here, I don't have any actions left, but frankly leaving this guy alive, stuck where he is and unable to do anything is actually pretty good for me. Because he's going to help create a traffic jam, as units aren't able to move past him, and so they'll all just stand in a row behind him.
If only...
Yep, there's just a huge line of dudes. Very helpful. And I'm like, well, if Dorothea hits this gambit and I cripple 4 units at once, of course she's only got a 50% chance to hit, so I consider a bunch of other things. And what I do here is I get as many people in range of the character she's attacking as possible to up the hit rate of the gambit. And it works. Dorothea complains about the level, but she got magic and speed, so I don't really care.
What were you expecting?
More than 2 growths, clearly. And so yeah, those 2 units are now crippled, so they can't move forward. This rogue is a pre-healer though, and happy to heal them. But this is a matter of course at this point. It's going to be very, very easy for me to take down all of these guys if I want to. I'd say very easy. It takes some time to think about this, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting strategy, though.
I found it a lot easier than going up the conventional way, if I'm honest. Once I discovered it. I think it's the better way of dealing with this map. On Maddening, at least. Because otherwise you're kind of being forced into walking into defense zones that aren't necessarily very good for you. Here I'm like, oh god, Lysithea, you missed. Alright, fine. Well, even if she missed, if it's fine as long as Dorothea doesn't miss.
Let's use our heads.
And then of course Dorothea also misses, so I'm like, well, No, well, let's try that again. And this time, you know, absent characters missing, I'm able to come up with a decent strategy that means I take these guys down.
I owe you.
Keep on healing them means you aren't killing us.
Exactly.
I don't have...
You gain speed. Oh, hold on. So here, Lysithea is currently a monk, not the next class along. And so I opt here to reverse time to stop her from leveling. So that when she does level, she levels with the stats of a sorceress, not a sorceress. I think it's a warlock. Or a mage. I think it's a mage. Rather than the stats of a monk. To give her a better chance of getting magic growths.
Okay.
But this means now I cannot use Lysithea at any other point in this map, because otherwise she'll level up.
Yeah, that's, you know, not
and
ideal.
So these are the ambush rogues, and they're infamous. After you move past that pillar there that's broken, they show up and try and murder your team. And they are same turn ambush units. With pass.
Always getting stronger.
With pass. Okay.
Yes. So the way I handle this is I have Byleth run past, and I have everyone formed up so that these guys can't pass through them. But now that they're out in the open, we can just cripple them and murder them. Good times. You know, as long as we hit. That's actually fine, because Leonie will still gain support points even if she completely misses and does nothing. And she can't gain experience, so she is just there for support and for poking people down to kill range by other units.
The ideal situation for her, somehow.
Yeah, pretty much. Why can't Yuri kill this guy? He should be hitting a lot harder than he is. I can't... At this point, I can't figure out what's happened to him. But it'll become apparent later on, I think. I think that's in the recording, anyway.
Keep an eye out for that.
Fortunately, Hubert has been having a pretty good time. He's also in Monk right now, but Hubert gets a very good level here. So I'm happy to leave him in Monk and get that level instead.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I managed to take down these guys. Everything's good. Forward. And turn. And then, of course, I realized that there's a second reinforcement wave here. With the same two guys again. And that's Lysithea dead.
How vexing. This isn't what I wanted.
Ah, man. Yeah, these guys suck.
And this is Hubert dead.
Just barely, but yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Rewind. Let's try this again. So yes, bear in mind, everyone, there are two sets of these reinforcements.
They come back to back too. Jeez.
Yeah. So obviously, what I realize here is that as long as I just keep my formation exactly where it is and set up the way that it is, only two rogues can ever attack me, and no rogue can attack more than one unit, if that makes sense. Sorry, you can attack a unit more than once.
Yeah, these losers too.
Yeah. So what happens is I just keep my formation the way that it is, and then I eventually take them down. And then the rest of the map is just completely depopulated. I run up the tower. I run over to Micklin.
I'll kill you. I'll kill every last one of you.
Hey, that's someone else's line.
Oh, that's where he got it from. So Micklin isn't all too threatening as things go. He is just a general with no distant counter or anything like that. If you get into melee with him, he's going to hit you like a truck because he has the Lance of Ruin. But aside from that, there's nothing massively important happening. I think I'm trying to figure out who I want to kill him with. I conclude Ferdinand can get the final poke. I'm not sure if Micklin has any unique dialogue with Black Eagles, but I don't think he does. And so yes, he turns into a gigantic demonic beast. And here I realize the problem Yuri had. He has the Holy Monks of Seros, who give -2 strength.
Okay.
That's why he wasn't hitting for anything. But he does have Stride, which is actually quite helpful here. So what I'd advise for this dude is you hold back a turn, let him walk into you, and that just makes surrounding him a lot easier.
I remember when this guy first attacked me when I played. I was completely thrown off. I had no idea this was about to happen, obviously.
Yep.
But so like he definitely like caught me off. I think he killed like half my army or something like that. Ooh. I was on casual though, so it didn't matter. But yeah. It was definitely surprising. I don't think anything in the game after that threatened me the way that he did, but
yeah, he's tough on maddening as well, right? He is surprisingly strong, hits surprisingly hard. So here I'm trying to weigh my options and figure out what I want to do. Leonie's a bit unfortunate because she's kind of in the way at the moment, but what I realize is Edelgard has just enough movement to get to this square, fire off a 100% hit assembly.
You fooled yourself.
And this will be very, very helpful because what it's going to do is explode the monster's armor. Which gets us 5 Umbral Steel, great for repairing your Swords of the Greater.
Oh yeah. The other thing with monsters is that I feel like they do an okay job explaining how you're supposed to fight them, but there's no teacher-like experience, you know?
Yeah.
So, as you get further in the game, you understand what's going on. But for this first guy, you're like, what am I even doing? How do I approach this? What am I supposed to do?
And this is Byleth critting Ruptured Heaven to deal 87 damage to this thing and kill it.
Oh, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, that does help. I thought I'd have another turn of going at him, but no. Crit Ruptured Heaven solves the problem for me. I don't have to wait another turn.
Reminds me of how I beat Nemesis. It was 2 fail not crits in a row.
Oh.
It is done. Let's retrieve the
this
lance and depart at once.
C-band ready, but I didn't need it.
That's how my Dimitri managed to kill Hedge Edelgard. He quit her on a 5% chance.
Nice.
After Catherine, who would have got the kill, missed 2 90% hits in a row.
I assume the Archbishop was pleased with your performance. Did you return the Lance of Ruin?
So this is interesting. This conversation changes if you've got Sylvain on your side, because then you can say I didn't return it, and you get Edelgard support points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Miklon was discarded by his family
But
because he was born without
this is, again,
Eventually,
very
he became a
illuminating
masterful
of
thief
Edelgard's view of the
and
world.
gathered enough ruffians to capture a fortress. Right or wrong, he was a gifted leader. He could have been a great asset to Fodlan. What a waste! It's true that a crest can increase your magical abilities and allow you to wield the full might of a hero's relic. But one cannot measure a leader's worth based solely on whether or not they bear a crest. There are plenty of talented people in this world without one.
Like you? Oh, wait.
No.
People believe
She has the
crests,
opposite
lessons
problem.
from the goddess, that they're necessary to maintain order in Fodlan. But the people are wrong. Crests are to blame for this brutal, irrational world we live in. Their power is granted only to a select few, whom we elevate and allow to rule the world. Have you ever wondered if the only way to create a truly free world is to dispense with the goddess and the crests? Do that, and people will have no choice but to rise and fall by their own merits.
So there are some missing steps in that problem, but, you know, I appreciate the sentiment.
Perhaps I did.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could even begin to think about the troubles you might face on that kind of path.
Yeah.
I've already explained this to you. My power alone.
So this is also very, very important and kind of
That's why
doesn't
I'm
come up
borrowing
anywhere
power
else.
From those people. If our teacher can wield it in my
Edelgard
stead,
at the beginning of this chapter is like, this sword could fight an entire empire. And now
A dangerous one.
she's like, I have to risk getting the teacher on our side because otherwise we're
Please
screwed.
excuse me.
I can't hide from the truth. I can't do all that I must on my own. If all I can rely on is my own ambition, my path won't be easy. Is it so risky?
Not going to be easy no matter what you do.
No, absolutely not.
I swear I will not stop until I succeed. My regret, my grief, my whole life. I've thrown it all away into the darkness.
And that is the end of the chapter. I think it is, both from a gameplay perspective, one of the most more complex chapters because of the weird stuff you have to do with the town, and then also the kind of weird stuff that you've got to do in the actual tower itself. And I think it's one of the, especially in Crimson Flower, one of the more illuminating chapters in terms of like people's worldview and why we're doing things the way that we are.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yes, that is chapter 6. I'm glad to have done it, and we'll be on to Rumors of a Reaper in chapter 7 soon enough, I think.
Alright, looking forward to that.
Thank you very much for joining me again, Alex, and thank you all very much for joining us and listening along. We will catch you all next time.
See y'all later.